Think of commissioning as piecing together a complex puzzle. Each piece of the puzzle represents a different system or component within a project. These pieces, they all must interlock perfectly to form a complete picture, which is your project. Missing or incorrectly placed pieces can disrupt the entire image, leading to gaps or misalignments in your puzzle and in your project. Commissioning ensures that every piece is scrutinized, adjusted, and placed correctly, ensuring a seamless fit and a complete project. As the last piece is set in place, the project's full potential is finally realized, creating a cohesive, functioning whole. In this way, commissioning brings all the puzzle pieces together, ensuring no piece is overlooked, and the final picture is complete and successful. Let's dig into this a little bit more.
You're listening to the Industrial Commissioning Association podcast, where we discuss best practices for industrial plant process and energy system commissioning. Get ready to say no to outdated industry norms and say yes to improved project performance. Here's your host, Paul Turner.
Think of your project commissioning like an iceberg. The tip of the iceberg, the top part that people mostly focus on, is the on-site testing, right? That's the only part that you can see above the waterline, and maybe that is 20% of the activities that make up commissioning. But below the surface, as you know, there's a much larger piece of the iceberg, and this is where 80% of the effort is required to build your commissioning puzzle. The problem is, a lot of projects only focus on the part that they can see above the waterline, and they're missing 80% of the pieces below the surface that they can't see to try and complete their commissioning puzzle. And when you're missing all of the pieces below the waterline of your commissioning puzzle, it's pretty hard to complete projects correctly because there's going to be a lot of things that you're missing. So what are the pieces of the commissioning puzzle that often get missed because they're not seen below the waterline? Commissioning starts right at the beginning of projects during your feed processes. So commissioning input during your design processes is definitely required. So during preliminary design reviews, during detailed design reviews, this is where operations folks and commissioning folks need to be involved to look at the operability of designs and the commissionability of designs. This is how you apply lessons learned from the end of previous projects back into the beginning of the next projects. During your feed processes, this is also when a lot of the commissioning strategy is developed when it comes to how the project is systematized and how the project is going to be tested and commissioned at the end to build up the overall plant process. Your feed processes is where your commissioning strategy is first developed. During your procurement processes, this is where you'll want to have commissioning input as well. When you're creating and writing procurement packages to award contracts for design and contracts for construction, this is where you need commissioning input to make sure that design activities and construction activities align with your overall commissioning strategy and how the project is going to come together at the end. Remember, this is like a puzzle, and there's lots of pieces out of the project from design and from construction that need to come together to form your complete picture and your complete puzzle at the end. So commissioning input is required to make sure that all these pieces are available and can be commissioned at the end of your project to build a complete picture. When construction contracts are being prepared, you definitely want to include your definition of mechanical completions in how you've systematized your project. So you need to build your mechanical completion packages to define your construction completions and also to ensure that your quality assurance and quality control processes during construction align with what's required for commissioning. During construction, there's going to be a lot of equipment procurement going on, and you also need to make sure that equipment, when it's being procured, is correctly specified for the testing that's required in the factory. So for your factory acceptance testing and your integrated factory acceptance testing, this needs to be defined in contracts so that your off-site testing aligns with your expectations for on-site testing, and so that nothing gets missed, and so that issues are identified as early as possible in the project to avoid risk later in the project. Working with construction groups, it's also very important that construction and commissioning are closely collaborating to build an integrated construction and commissioning schedule to ensure a smooth handover from construction to commissioning. Another piece of your commissioning puzzle is your commissioning management system software selection and setup. This should take place early in your project as systematization is defined so that all groups working on projects from design and construction and commissioning know how the project is sequenced and how everything is going to come together at the end. This is all defined in your commissioning management software that's set up as one of your commissioning puzzle pieces. Another piece of your commissioning puzzle is your gated commissioning workflows. So as construction is completed, what are the milestones that each system is going to go through for pre-commissioning, commissioning, and startup to build up your overall plant process? Another piece of the commissioning puzzle is your pre-commissioning checklists and your commissioning procedures. Now, this would be the tip of the iceberg that a lot of people are familiar with, is the testing that takes place at the end of projects, but this is just the tip of the iceberg. There's a lot more below the surface, as we've mentioned, that are the pieces of your entire commissioning puzzle. So as part of your commissioning strategy, you will have defined your system startup, your system handovers, and ultimately your operational readiness requirements to ensure that operating folks are prepared and ready for continued operation and maintenance of the new assets when they go in service. So this requires all the documentation that they're going to require, all of the training that is needed so that operators are prepared, ready, and comfortable to continue on with ongoing operation and maintenance of the facilities. So there are lots of pieces of the commissioning puzzle, and this is the commissioning manager's role, is to put this million-piece puzzle together at the end of projects. And when you're only focused on the tip of the iceberg and you're ignoring all the pieces of the puzzle below the waterline that you can't typically see, well, you'll never have a complete picture for commissioning, and you'll never be able to complete your project successfully at the end. If your approach is only to focus on the tip of the iceberg, then you'll always be scrambling at the end to find the missing pieces to finish your project. Now, how do you get a complete picture for commissioning and focus on all the pieces that are required for commissioning? Well, your best place to start is with the ICA Global Commissioning Standard, which you can get access to in the members area of the Industrial Commissioning Association. So go to icxa.net and get a copy of this standard right away to help you get a full, clear picture of all the puzzle pieces that are required on projects so that your project can succeed as well. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you in the next episode.
Thanks for listening. To become a member of the Industrial Commissioning Association, visit icxa.net. Members get access to commissioning standards, procurement specifications, commissioning training and certification, plus many more specialized resources to help you with commissioning of your industrial plant process and energy systems. Visit icxa.net for more information.